What's up? Show me what you got. Put up your dukes.
Let's go, champ.
Before we get started, I wanted to give you a reason as to why we even made this video. Last Saturday, November 9th, Jack, his kids, and I went to the KSI Logan Paul fight at the Staples Center, and it was amazing. Once we left the fight, I started thinking about what kind of boxing intro I wanted to create for this next Jablinski episode. And I thought, what better way than for Jack to knock himself out? So I'm not very good at explaining anything in broad terms, like especially technical videos like this. So before I even sent this idea to Jack, I thought I'm gonna go in the backyard and shoot a test video and just send that to him because it does two things. One, shows him exactly what we're gonna do and explains everything at the same time. So the next day I went over to his place and we started filming. So in this shot you see that there's a tennis ball like attached to a stand. I brought that just so that he could have an eye line reference and know approximately where he needed to throw his punches. Otherwise he'd just be kind of throwing punches in the dark.
Cut. Nice.
That's the better one.
And here we are. So let's break it down, shall we? So first things first, select your favorite shots. So Jack and I had already talked about this before. We knew the guy on the left, we wanted to be like the regular outfit, and we wanted the guy on the right to be the one with the shoes. So here I'm labeling on the left as left guy and the guy on the right is right guy. Very, very creative, I know. Step two, after I labeled the layers, I dropped the opacity so I can match up the swings of when Jack needs to duck on the left hand and when he gets hit on the right. Lucky for me, Jack is a trained actor, I'm not sure if you knew that, and he nailed the timing. So that saved me a bunch of time on having to fix any speed issues. Thanks, Jack. So initially I made a rough mask for the guy on the left layer so that I didn't really need to do anything more to the guy on the right, but we'll get to why I needed to change that later on in the video. So with that being said, I began rotoscoping, which always takes a lot longer than you would expect. So after the first part of the rotoscoping on the left guy, I scrubbed through and saw I needed to roto again to accomplish two things. I needed to remove the tennis ball stand on the right hand side, as well as the left guy walking towards the camera, because he needed to be in front of the guy on the ground on the right. Because I shot this in 4K and I'm working with two 4K shots, I needed to do a quick export because even though I have a maxed out MacBook Pro, it still lags too much for me to see what I am actually doing. So I needed to see what I was working with. And as you can see here in the preview, there's a masking issue with the guy on the right. If you notice, like right in between the both of them on the trampoline safety net, there's kind of like this ghosting effect. So we have to go back in. Whenever I rotoscope, I always go through the timeline and figure out exactly what needs to be cut out and make it its own layer. Sometimes even one frame of rotoscoping can take up to a minute or two, which it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, but when you factor in a potential of like 30 to 60 extra frames, we're looking at a lot of time wasted, and I'm not about that life. And so back to what I had mentioned earlier in the video about the masking situation, I had to rotoscope out the guy on the right, and I needed only to rotoscope the parts that were overlapping the mask. So it wasn't like the full body. It was just, you know, obviously, as you can see, the boxing gloves. And so here's a side-by-side comparison of what both of them look like. As you can see, the after is just 10 times better. You don't have that ghosting effect. And it really pulls off like a seamless cut in both videos. And so once we had that done, all I had to do was throw on like a quick color grade, and I added a little bit of camera shake to make it look like the clip was handheld. And after that, we were good to go. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. The KSI Logan Paul fight was amazing. We had a great time. Love making these videos. We've got some really exciting new collaborations coming up later in the month, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, leave a comment, questions, anything like that below, and I'll try to answer as many as I can. Yeah, I'm so bad at ending these videos, so I'm just gonna leave again. Okay, see you guys.